in a while, I come on the Jackverse with a bone to pick. And that's okay, because it's my little corner of the planet, and I'm allowed to pick whatever bones I want, whether they be from between my teeth, out of a turkey, or out of you. Well, not really you, not the viewers out there, but to the metaphorical you. Today's bone, as it were, is something that's near and dear to my heart. As some of you may or may not know, the great and powerful Amazon made some changes to how they deal with Kindle Unlimited. If you don't know what Kindle Unlimited is, it's effectively a subscription service, sort of like Spotify is for music. You can pay a monthly fee, and with that monthly fee, you get to download and read as many books as you want. It's a great idea, right? Sure. Subscription services are the way of the future with media. You can't avoid them. You've got Spotify, you've got Netflix. If you think for 1 second that Netflix is going to go away and we're going to return back to the old ways with Blockbuster and DVDs, you, my dear friend, are sorely mistaken. And now, we have the same thing coming over to the world of books. It's all fine and good. And Amazon says, here's the way we're going to do this. We have a certain amount of money every month, right? And from that money, from the top of that money, we're going to first pay all of the big guns. We're going to pay the J.K. Rowlings and Stephen Kings and all those people. And they're going to get pretty much the majority of that money. And the rest of the money is going to be divided amongst the rest of you. Like me. Okay, well, as you can imagine, by the time that pool of money gets trickled down to the likes of me, it's a little bit smaller than it was in the beginning, and that's fine. I mean, you've got to pay your Stephen Kings and your J.K. Rowlings, because if you don't pay them, what you going to do? Okay, so initially what they were doing is people would borrow a book, they call them borrows, and they would start reading the book. And as soon as the reader got up to 10% of the book, bam! Amazon gave you some cash. That's right. 10% of the book read, you get a set fee. Get a set payment, that was. And before they made this latest change, I think the average payout was like $1.35. Okay, so of course, there were people that were playing the system. Let me tell you how they were playing the system. Let's say, for example, I decided to write a 5,000-word short story about dinosaur porn or unicorn porn, whatever kind of porn or whatever kind of story I wanted to write. But it was 5,000 words, right? Okay, so as soon as a reader got 10% of that book read, which, 1 or 2 pages, bam, you got your money, $1.35. Of course, I'm just pulling that figure out of my butt right now because it's changed, and it changed every day. Now, take, for example, one of my books. We just pull one of them out at random, and they average between 60 and 70,000 words apiece. So a reader borrows the book and starts reading, and they get 10% of the way through that book, and bam, I would get my $1.35. Do you see where the disconnect is? Did you do that math? So what I could have done is played that system. I could have taken that 60,000 word book and broken it up into a bunch of 5,000 word short stories. And every time somebody read that, bam, I got paid. Boom, bam, crash, pow, woo, I'm rich. Well, there were a lot of complaints made about that. People who write full-length novels like myself were saying, hey, Amazon, wait a minute. You're paying the same amount of money to these people writing, recipe books or short stories or singles as me. What's the deal? And so Amazon made a change. And that change is you get a percentage based on how many pages are read of your book. Now that, to me, is a fair change, right? If someone reads, say one of my books is 300 pages. If someone reads 150 pages of that book or 300 pages of that book, I will get paid based on that amount of pages read. So if somebody writes a 5,000 word book, and it's got 5 pages to it, they're going to make that much money. Way to go, Amazon, right? Okay, yes, perfect. But people can't play the system now. And that is where my beef comes, my bone, my little bit of anger, my rage. Let me tell you about this. When I decided to become an author, or when the universe poked its finger in my face and said, "You, son, are going to be an author." Anyway, regardless of how or why. When that happened, I said to myself that I was going to do this in the same way I handled my career as an actor. I want to succeed by hard work, by pushing myself, and by not playing the system, by not going under the table, not lying down on the casting couch. And I did it. I had a very successful career, and it was all based on a moral compass that was etched in hard work and professionalism and honesty. And that's what I'm doing as a writer. I don't go out and buy reviews. I don't go out and beg, borrow, and steal for people to review my books. I don't go out and cheat the systems. There are people out there. Everybody out there, I'm sure, has heard of like the New York Times best-selling author list. Well, there are actually organizations out there that have been put together in order to cheat that system. It's actually easy to get on the New York Times bestseller list because it's based on how many units you sell in a specific amount of time. And all of these top 10, top 100 lists, anyone can be on them if you play the system right. But you know what? If you're out there and you're an author or a musician or a filmmaker or whatever, and you're playing the system, eventually it's going to come out. Eventually the people will know. And eventually that kind of karma will smack you upside the face and you'll drop. You'll fall. And I have a problem with that. I have a problem with those people out there abusing the system to effectively, with all of those people doing this, they effectively take all of us who are trying to do this in an honest and genuine way. They're just pushing us back. They just keep pushing us back. I can't tell you how many writers I see on a daily basis lay claim to, "I'm a best-selling author." How exactly did you come about knowing that you're a best-selling author? Doesn't best-selling imply that you have sold a massive amount of books or albums? And like in the music industry, they have a rating system, platinum, gold, and blah blah blah. And last year, one album received a platinum award. One. Now that, of course, speaks to a whole different problem that we've got. But if you're an author out there, I know what it's like to begin, to be in the early stages of this, and look around at the landscape and go, "Oh my God, how am I going to be seen? I can't sell a book. What am I going to do?" What you're going to do is very simple. You're going to work your ass off. And every book you write, every page you write, every word you write is going to be better than the one you previously wrote. And with every book you release, you're going to improve, and you're going to find new readers and find bigger audiences. And that, my friends, is how you grow in the ranks of the world of publishing. It's been a slow uphill climb for me. But you know what? I can look back on it and be proud of it. And know that every bit of success that I have received, I have done it my way. And I have not done it in such a way that would affect my moral compass. I can happily talk to other writers and readers and say it can be done without cheating, without using the systems, without spending every minute of every day going, what can I do to get someone to see me? You know, who can I buy off? Who can I get to review my books? It's, you know, you've got to remember that in this world, there's one factor that we all have to consider. Luck. Luck plays a huge part of this. It's the right person reading the right book at the right time and then telling the right person. We can't control that. You can't play that system. So, the best thing to do is improve yourself with every word you write. Because eventually, word's going to get out. People are going to start saying, oh my God, this series only gets better. And that's because you worked hard. And that's because you knew exactly what you needed to do to make it in this industry. Now, outside of that, there's always some good news. Yay, good news! I have finally released TikTok Girl. All praise the steampunk gods. I can't even begin to tell you how proud I am of this book. The second books are always very precious to me because a first book couldn't always be a fluke. You know, Clockwork Cabaret and the success that it has enjoyed could have been a fluke. It could have been the only steampunk book I had in me. But then I wrote the sequel and I realized, no, there's more. Clockwork Cabaret wasn't a fluke. It wasn't happenstance that I just started writing it at the right time and it all just came out right. So I'm really proud of this. And more good news, first draft of Fry Zombie Fry is done and in the hands of beta readers, and so far the reports have been it's the best in the series. I can tell you this, it was my favorite book in that series to write. I loved writing that book. So here's hoping that will translate into you, the readers, enjoying the book. And in further news, I have started a book called Frankenstein Theory. That's right, Frankenstein. I predicted a while ago that Frankenstein would be the new great monster in vogue, as it were. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's what I'm writing. Now, what's unique about this is, or maybe I shouldn't say unique about this, what is challenging about this is I have set my Frankenstein Theory book in the original period when Mary Shelley wrote her book. I wanted to keep that dark and deep Gothic tone, and you can't find that flavor and that setting and ambiance anywhere but that period. So I'm really excited about this book. It is challenging me at every step. And as I write this, the thing that I keep thinking in the back of my head is that if you don't come out of this a better writer, then you, sir, are a failure. But I think it's going to be a good book. Of course I'm going to say that. I'm a writer. What am I going to say? Nah, this book's going to suck wind. No, I think you're going to enjoy it. Different take on the Frankenstein myth. Think about it as Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the universal Frankenstein, smashed together with a twist. There you go. That's my good news. That's what's going on in the Jackverse. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining me in my studio and for traveling along with me on my I'm sorry, I got stuck there. My programming found a bug. Thank you for joining me on my travels. I look forward to talking with you again. Peace out, my lovelies.